Alright, so tonight we're diving into 3 childhood horror stories that are, honestly, just the kind of stuff that sticks with you forever. These aren't jump scare, flashy moments. They're slow, creeping, and completely unsettling. So, make sure okay. So, this first story. It all starts at a boarding school. Our guy, let's call him the narrator, gets assigned a roommate. His name, Weston. At first, Weston seems normal enough. Quiet, polite, just another kid in a uniform. But then, little by little, weird rules start popping up. Not wash your hands or lights out at 10 inches kind of rules. No, these were strange. Weston had rules about food, for example. No salt at all. Not on your eggs, not on your potatoes, nothing. And it didn't stop there. Frogs, absolutely forbidden. Like, if you even mentioned them, you'd get a glare that could freeze you in place. At first, the narrator just thought, okay, a quirky kid, a little annoying, sure. But it didn't take long before it started feeling off. The rules weren't random, they were enforced. Strictly, and Weston. He wasn't just enforcing them to be weird. There was something behind it. Something that made the air in the room feel heavier. Than one night, curiosity got the better of him. He found a notebook hidden in Weston's things. Nothing fancy, just an old, tattered notebook. But when he opened it, his blood ran cold. Inside, there was a list of names, a long list, and his own name, right there, written neatly, deliberately. From that point on, things escalated. Small, unsettling things first. He'd wake up in the middle of the night, only to find Weston standing there, just staring, not moving, not speaking, just looking. And every time, Weston's eyes seemed wrong, too focused, too still. And then came the incident. One night, as he was drifting off, he felt something cold and slithering across his blankets. His heart nearly stopped. He looked down, and there it was, a live snake, coiled tightly around the bed, moving like it was waiting for him to wake up. Weston, still there, silent, watching. But it doesn't stop there. The final night. The one he never forgot. The room got darker than usual, like the shadows themselves were thickening. And then, he saw it. A dark, pulsing shape in the corner. He couldn't even describe it properly. It moved slowly, deliberately toward them. And then, in a moment that felt like it stretched on forever, the thing slammed into the window from the inside. Glass shattered. The noise was deafening. Weston left the school the next day, just like that. No explanation, no goodbye. And the narrator, left alone in that room, staring at the broken window, heart pounding, mind spinning. He had questions, of course. Questions about the notebook, about the shadow, about Weston himself. But answers, there were none. Even years later, thinking back, the memory doesn't fade. The notebook, the snake, the shadow. Weston's world was something else entirely. Something the narrator would never fully understand. And that's the thing about stories like this. The scariest part isn't just what happened. It's that, maybe it's still out there, waiting, watching. You're settled in. Maybe turn the lights down, because this is going to get weird. Alright, so this next one, it takes us to a summer at a grandparent's farm in Pennsylvania. Classic, quiet countryside vibes, right? Fields stretching for miles, old barns creaking in the wind. The perfect place for a kid to spend a few weeks. But sometimes, the quiet isn't as peaceful as it seems. our storyteller starts noticing little things at night. At first, it's subtle. Shadows flickering in the corner of the room. That odd feeling when you sense someone's watching you, even though you're alone. Then, it starts happening more. Tangible things. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming from the attic above. But when they run to check, nothing. No one. Just the old house, settling. Or so they think. Then, there's the figure. Standing at the foot of the bed. Always just there. Barely moving, but enough to make your stomach drop. Some nights, it vanishes when you blink. Other nights, it feels heavier. You can sense its presence pressing down on you, even if you can't see it clearly. The narrator couldn't understand it, couldn't explain why it was there, what it wanted, or why it seemed interested in him. Years pass. Life moves on. And then, a revelation. They find out their cousin had been living with something far worse in the same house. While the narrator experienced mostly watching and feeling, the cousin was touched, literally. This thing, whatever it was, would sit on his bed, and then, without warning, it would reach out, rough, scratchy hands, brushing against his face, cold, unyielding, always at night. No signs of forced entry, no indication that someone could have sneaked into the house, nothing missing, and yet, every night, it happened, and no one could explain it. Friends, neighbors, nothing, just the house and this presence. You start thinking, could it be a ghost? Maybe, but not just any ghost. This wasn't subtle, wasn't fleeting. It wasn't just a shadow passing through. It interacted, it touched, it watched. Or could it have been something else entirely? Something alive, hiding in plain sight for years, moving silently, never leaving a trace. The thought alone chills you. And that's the thing about these kinds of stories. You can rationalize them during the day. Maybe it's imagination. Maybe the old house just makes noises. But at night, in the dark, when you feel it watching you, nothing seems rational anymore. And that's exactly what happened to them. Every night was a test of courage, a question of whether what they were experiencing was real, or something far worse. Even thinking back now, years later, the memory doesn't fade. You can feel it lurking just at the edge of your mind. Footsteps in the attic, the weight at the foot of the bed, rough hands brushing across a sleeping face. And you start to wonder how many houses like that exist. How many times do we just miss what's really there, hiding in the shadows, waiting? Finally, this last story is, well, it's downright chilling. Our narrator was just 9 years old at the time. They lived in a quiet neighborhood, houses lined up closely, small backyards, friendly neighbors. Nothing about the place suggested anything strange until the girl appeared. It started innocently enough. From their bedroom window, the narrator noticed a girl in a yellow sweater in the house right behind theirs. At first, it was just curiosity. She'd wave. Sometimes she'd point at something in the yard, sometimes at the narrator. And soon, they started talking through gestures. Silent little conversations across the distance of their backyards. It felt safe, even fun, a secret little friendship from across the way. But then, the tone shifted. Little things changed, subtle but unnerving. The girl's gestures became more urgent. She'd look anxious, glancing over her shoulder, like she was afraid someone was watching her. And then one night, she appeared at the window again, but this time, she wasn't waving. She was mouthing the words, "Help me, And that's when the narrator noticed the stain on her sweater, a dark, reddish stain. It wasn't clear what it was, but it was enough to make the heart sink. Fear replaced curiosity. Something about her presence no longer felt playfully felt. Desperate, terrified, the narrator ran to their mother and told her what they'd seen. Concerned, she walked over to the neighbors to talk to them. And that's when the horrifying truth came out. The girl matched the description of a little girl who had lived there years before. A girl who had died in a car accident. The house had been sold, and the new owners, they had actually sealed the room where she had been known to appear because strange, unexplained activity kept happening in that space. The realization hit like a punch. This wasn't imagination. This wasn't a trick of the light or a game. This was something else. Something that lingered, tied to the house, tied to that tragic past. The girl in the yellow sweater had been seen across the years by others in the neighborhood. And now she had reached out, somehow, to the narrator. Stories like this, they stick, they linger. You can't easily rationalize them. You try to tell yourself it's coincidence, that the mind fills in gaps. But when you think back, you can almost see her at the window, her tiny hands pressed to the glass, pleading, and you can feel that stain, that mark of tragedy that no one can explain. It's one of those memories that doesn't fade. One of those stories that doesn't end neatly. For the narrator, and for anyone who hears it, it's a reminder that some things from childhood, some glimpses into the past, aren't meant to be understood. They're just felt, and when you put all three stories together, the boarding school, the farm, and the girl in the yellow sweater, you realize a pattern. None of these nightmares started with a bang. None of them had loud crashes or sudden screams. They started small, subtle, and then, slowly, piece by piece, they creep into your world. They watch. They touch. They leave marks that don't wash away. That's the thing about childhood horrors. They're not always immediate, but they linger. They whisper. They crawl under your skin. And for the people who lived these experiences, it's not something they ever forget, ever. So yeah, 3 childhood experiences, 3 nightmares that didn't start with a bang, but with something small, subtle, and then, slowly, it just eats at you. Small, subtle, and then, slowly, it just eats at you.